What do you think are 10 things that you wish you had known before you started backpacking? And the number one thing I think of right away is that not everything is fun. Sometimes you get to see kind of a curated look at my trips or our trips where everything seems like it's going smoothly, everything seems perfect, and you know if you watch me long enough that I try to make sure I include real things and that you know that not every trip up the mountain is a good time. Sometimes we struggle. Sometimes, like Super Josh has had injury on trips before. We've had to kind of talk about bailing early, and so that's the number one thing I wish I would kind of tell I wish my past self had told my future self, and I made sure he knows that hey, sometimes it's going to be tough. Sometimes it's going to be something that's not a whole lot of fun to be in at that moment, but the overall experience is worth it. Number two, and it's funny that I'm wearing this shirt because I did not realize how easy it was gonna be to poop in the woods. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's one of those things where growing up, I was never a super outdoors person. And so I think if people were to kind of see me now where I am in my life, especially my close family, and realize that what I do with ease and how I talk about camping travels, it seems like incessantly. And I didn't realize this was gonna be something that was gonna come so naturally, so easily. It really is not a big deal if you're kind of freaking out about that before you start backpacking and you're kind of worried about not having a bathroom nearby. Don't worry, it's super easy. To a lot of people, it can kind of come fairly naturally as well. Number three, I wish I could tell you myself that you don't need to bring as many clothes as you think you will. Whenever you go on your first trip, you honestly bring a ton of clothes. At least I did. I made sure I had almost like a change of socks for every day. I made sure I had a change of shirt for every day. And you really don't need that many clothes. And you start to realize that you're carrying maybe upward of 2 pounds of extra weight. And for me, that was a little too much of extra clothes. And so you just kind of learn to live with a lot of the stink. And so I make sure now that I am aware of kind of all my extras, that I wear, that I'm examining my gear, and I'm making sure that what I'm bringing is not over the top. Number four, the miles really do not matter. And so sometimes we kind of get, as we're hiking or backpacking, it can kind of become fun to kind of just push out miles. And honestly, don't get stuck in this trap of kind of having to compete about, oh, well, I did 10 miles today, or I did 15 miles today, or I did 23 miles today. Whatever it is, as long as you're having a good time on the trail, the miles really don't matter. It's the overall experience is what matters. And so if you're having a good time hiking 10 miles, hike 10 miles. If you have a good time hiking 26 miles, and that's something you enjoy doing, feel free to push out those miles. For me, honestly, I find that 12 to 17 miles is about comfortable for me, and I just kind of found that out. Could I do more miles? Yeah, I could. Could I do less miles? Of course. But it's one of those things where it's pretty personal, and just make sure you enjoy the experience. Number five, you don't need super expensive gear. I know you guys who have watched me for a while are like, really? Tim, you seem like you have a lot of expensive gear. And over time, I kind of have saved and am able to kind of purchase more expensive gear. But it's one of those things where you really don't need it. I think I had a comment on my channel on the Backpacking for Beginners kind of clothing video where I talk about this extensively and how there are a lot of comparable products out there, be it at Walmart or Meijer or your overall big box store, where you can kind of get very similar performance clothes to the more expensive clothes, where you're talking about like Outdoor Research or Under Armour. You don't have to be so brand loyal that you're only going to buy a $100 base layer, when honestly you could find a $10 base layer at Walmart on sale and it works just as well. Now there's some things I prefer not to skimp on, and, including you're talking about like a hammock or a tarp. But honestly, I'll be completely honest, is that there's cheaper tarps that work better. Now you have a trade-off. You have to worry about weight, of course, and all those different things. If you're talking about durability, you have lots of different things to consider, not only price. But be aware, look for deals. You don't have to break the bank in order to be a backpacker. Number six, there is always a different way to do things. I know this comes back to, and I actually hate the phrase hike your own hike, but that's where it kind of comes into play. People do things in different ways all the time. People hang bear bags different ways. People have lots of advice about what works for them with blister care. People have lots of advice about the perfect way to start a fire, or how to filter your water. Lots of different things. And just know that there's not always a right answer to every question. Just know that people kind of form their own experiences, their own habits, based on their location, based on their experiences. And just know that it's okay to find out what's the right thing for you. Don't just look at YouTube advice or YouTube videos and think to yourself, okay, that's the only way to do it. There are lots of different ways to do things. Number 7, I didn't realize how I was continually gonna be amazed by the things I've seen over the past couple of years. And it's one of those things where you think you've seen it all. The highest mountain, or the most beautiful mountain you can see, the most beautiful sunset, or the most beautiful sunrise, the best vista you've ever seen. And there's always more. And that's always really exciting to me, to know that I have not seen it all. I haven't even come close. Now I'm gonna try to see it all. That would be awesome. But just know there's more to see. There's always more to see. And it's just fantastic. And that's one of my favorite things about backpacking in general, is that you're never over. There's always kind of something around the riverbend. There's always something around the next vista, around the next corner, just 1 mile more, and you'll see something else. That to me is just fantastic. And that's why you'll laugh, my wows over and over again. Wow, check this out. Wow, that's amazing. Woo! That's a really good echo. Hey! It's just really, really fun. And that's why I honestly stick around with backpacking, because it just keeps giving me more and more. Number 8, although it keeps kind of giving me more and more, you have to realize that sometimes it can be really challenging. It's one of those things where that's one of my favorite things about backpacking. I didn't realize it would be. It's just the mental challenge, the mental toughness. I've talked about that before, how sometimes it's not only physically demanding, but it's just mentally tough. I mean, all you're doing is walking, sometimes uphill, sometimes downhill. Anyone, if you're ambulatory, pretty much can do this. But it comes back to mental toughness and the mental challenge. And that's fascinating to me, that I really get excited by that it's not just a mountain, it's a physical challenge where I have to walk uphill for so many miles or so many hours. It's that I know I can do it. I'm physically capable of doing it. It's just, am I gonna do it? Or how fast am I gonna do it? Number 9, do not sweat your pack weight. To some extent. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, there's once again a trade-off. If your pack is super heavy, so you're talking, more in the traditional weights where you're talking 40, 50, 60 pounds, then you're definitely going to feel a difference in that pack weight versus someone who has a 30-pound pack or a 20-pound pack. But honestly, don't get too obsessed about pack weight. And that's something I tell Subaru Josh all the time. Sometimes he focuses on every single gram and every single ounce, and that's an important exercise to go through. But you can also lose enjoyment from backpacking and hiking just because you're so focused on your base weight and whether or not that 1 ounce or 2 grams is going to make a difference in your overall experience. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not. You're probably going to have fun either way, and people with 40 to 50 pound packs still have fun out on the trail. I mean, I've hiked with Adam, who's a steer photog, in Red River Gorge a couple times, and 2 dolly sods, and he loves carrying his camera gear, and he brings that, and that makes the experience for him. Now, would he carry such a heavy pack if he didn't have his camera gear? Probably not. But it's one of those things that makes his hike, is being able to take those fantastic shots that he takes, and his pack is going to be heavier, and he still has just as much fun as us, and we have lighter packs. So don't stress about the base weight too much, just as something to be aware of, and know how much comfort you're giving up for either a luxury like a camera, or a luxury like a super backpacking pillow that's, I don't know, a pound and a half or something. And number 10, and I think is one of the most important, if there's a side trail, take it. If there's something to see that you know is nearby, a feature, a waterfall, an arch, make sure you go. Because you only get out so often. Most of us have jobs and we're not hiking full time, which should be epic and amazing. But it's one of those things where if you know that a feature is nearby, just go see it. Sometimes when we're out there on the trail, we've thought to ourselves, oh, it's only 0.6 miles to this feature. Are we really gonna go see it? Are we too tired to go check it out? And usually the Joshes always laugh at my answer, because I'm like, we are here. We might as well go see it. who knows when we're getting a chance to see it again, if we'll get a chance to see it again. And so it reminds me of just the phrase carpe diem, or seize the day, kind of seize the moment. And so it's one of those things where if you are right there and you can see something truly epic, something truly amazing, why not go see it? So those are my top 10 things I wish I had known before I started backpacking. What are your top 3? Go ahead and put them in the comments down below. I'd love to kind of talk about this. This is just a fun topic. What are your top 3 things that you wish you had known before starting backpacking? I'm interested to see what your comments are. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.